are now joined by this weekend's driver of the number 78 Live Fast Motorsports Chevrolet, Katherine Legge. Uh, Katherine, welcome out to Phoenix Raceway. I can imagine it's felt like a big lead up to this weekend, but now that we're here at the track, what are you ultimately looking to accomplish as we get set for practice and qualifying tomorrow and the race come Sunday?
Well, thank you for having me first. Second, I don't think it's been a very long lead up. It's been a very intense lead up. I've literally known about doing this race for about 10 days, maybe. I sat with the NASCAR folks in Atlanta and asked them what I needed to do in order to be licensed in NASCAR, and I have to start on a short track, and so here I am. Very happy to be here, very happy that BJ and Live Fast gave me the opportunity. And I've spent the majority of the week in North Carolina driving the simulator. So RCR were kind enough to let me on their static sim, and Chevy were kind enough to put me in the DIL there, the motion sim. And Hendricks were really cool, and they let me do pit stop practice, and Cowlick have been awesome. So I feel like super well supported and as prepared as I possibly can be, having never driven on an oval like this, a car, next gen car. I've done a handful of stock car races in my career, so I feel like I'm either going to sink or swim, but everybody's given me the best possible opportunity to go out there and do a good job.
Cool deal. We'll begin opening up to questions. If you have a question, raise your hand. We'll get a mic to you. We'll start with Cameron over here on the right, then we'll come to Holly, then Bob.
Hello, Miss Catherine. As a fellow race car driver myself who's raced on asphalt and dirt, especially at the Tulsa Shootout, can you just talk about your love for racing and where it comes from? Because unfortunately, you had that flip at the Chili Bowl and you had the big one at Daytona, but you decided to still come back to racing cars on four wheels, and now you're getting ready to race in one of the biggest levels of stock car racing, the Cup Series at Phoenix. And so, can you just talk about where this big love for racing comes from?
I don't know where it comes from, but it's definitely inherent in me, right? I grew up racing go-karts. I wanted to be a Formula One driver, but then I did open wheel. I found a love for sports car racing. I loved doing the Xfinity races that I did, and I wanted to do more stock car racing. I got the opportunity to do the Chili Bowl, so I did it. It was really cool experience. I figure the more things I do, the better I'll become. Everything teaches you something. But I think I probably do have one of the most diverse careers in racing, because literally you name it, I've driven it. I've driven Formula E, I've driven prototypes, I've driven so many different forms of racing. I feel like this is the one that I really want to do that's eluded me, and I just love it. It's in my blood. I think, how they say that your job should not be your identity? Well, this 100% is my identity. I am just a racing driver. I don't know where I would be without it. I love it so much, and I love everything about it. I love the driving. I love the camaraderie. I love the competition with everybody else. I love the competition with yourself. I love the technical elements of it and figuring out what you need to do to make your race car go fast. I love the strategy. So literally every aspect of it makes me want to get out of bed in the morning. So I just love it.
We'll come up to Holly and then Bob.
Hi, Catherine. How are you? Holly Kane with the NASCAR Wire Service. I have a couple questions. The first one, if I were to guess, I would have probably thought a road course would be where you would make your first start. If you could kind of talk about how that did or didn't work out, or maybe in the future.
Yes, I think I would have felt a whole other level of comfort if I had been at COTA past weekend. And we spoke about it. It was just really tough to get it done in the time frame. So we're in Atlanta, and NASCAR said, well, you could do COTA or Phoenix. And I'm like, COTA would be great. But there was just no way to get everything done and get the car ready for COTA. So unfortunately, that didn't happen. But fortunately, here I am at Phoenix.
I get that. And secondly, so here you are. What kind of, obviously you've reached out and you've done everything, it sounds like, to prepare as well as you can in the amount of time that you have. So what does that do to your expectations? Do you look at this specifically as, this is what I want to do this weekend?
Yeah, absolutely. I think expectations aside, if I can tell you what my goals are and hopes, And that's basically, I want to finish all of the laps. I want to do a good job, not minimize the mistakes, let's say, because everybody makes mistakes, but I really want to minimize them. And I want to stay out of trouble and show respect and prove that I belong. So I think if I can do those things, then I'll get the opportunity to do more.
Which is my last question. What do you see yourself running more races this year? Is that kind of the ultimate goal?
That would be awesome, yeah. I would love to do that. And I don't think that we have any expectation that we're going to go out and be competitive. You know, I think if I finish anything but last, it will be a win for us, honestly, because I don't have the experience that any of these guys have. I don't have, you know, the car at the moment that's capable of going and running up the front. So hopefully we can develop me and the car and everything else at the same time, and we can get there.
Go ahead, Bob.
Bob Hawkers, Fox Sports. With this and talking about doing more of these races, does that mean Indy cars off the table for this year at all, or Indy 500?
No, doesn't mean that. I would say I'm hopeful to do more IndyCar races.
Indy 500.
I mean, I would love to. Let's see.
And you're the first female driver in Cup since Danica. I'm curious, is there any sense of pride, or does that piss you off?
Kind of neither. It's disappointing that there aren't more women at any, like IndyCar, NASCAR, the Cup, sports cars. Really, there's been kind of like a gap. You know, there was Sarah Fisher and Danica and me and Simona and like a bunch of good drivers in that era, and then there's been really like this gap and this lull. And so when I stopped racing, maybe alongside it, but definitely focused on it when I stopped racing, I'd love to bring up the next generation, because I think that there's only a handful of us that have those shared lived experiences. And I think that my experience might be valuable in helping them navigate it, because it's not like everybody says, what's it like to be a girl in racing? And I don't know, because I only have my own experience. I don't know what it's like to be a boy in racing, right? So I know what my journey has been, and I know that it's gone for me and it's gone against me, and I know where the struggles are, and I know mentally what you have to do to overcome those struggles. And so I think to me, it just is. I would much rather people just saw me as another race car driver on merit, but that's not reality, and I'm not immune to or blind to the fact that it has helped me in ways too. So I'm just going to go out there and be Katherine and do the very best that I can.
Come to Jeff next.
Hi, Jeff Gluck from The Athletic. It's a tough balance that you're talking about, earning respect and getting experience for yourself, because obviously, like the respect part, you know, like BJ made his name in some ways off like being able to stay out of the way when he was getting lapped in a slow car, and so people would give respect for that. But you're also trying to, you know, get your own experience out there and learn on the flies. How do you balance those two things, because they can be very different at times?
That is one of my main concerns, I would say. I want to be respectful of the leaders and stay out of the way, because it's going to happen inevitably. But I also am worried that once you get out of the rhythm and you've got people constantly passing you, then you're always going slower. You're never going at your limit. So you don't really get to feel what the actual race is like. So I don't know yet. I mean, we've gone over it, like stay in the second lane and let them go underneath you. I've got a great spotter, apparently. I haven't met him yet, but apparently he's awesome, Pepper. And so I think that will be a challenge. And I will say this, and it will go for every form of motorsport. The guys at the back are working way harder than the guys at the front, because the cars that you get when you're in a Penske or a Ganassi or whatever, an IndyCar or whatever it may be over here that's uber competitive, is so much easier, right? It's so much easier to be at the front than it is the back. So I know that a lot of them have paid their dues by driving in my position, and so I think that they will respect that if I respect what they're trying to achieve too.
We'll go to Dustin, then we'll go to Crash, then to Cooper over here.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. You talked about just this quick process from Atlanta to here, and I know things can't happen fast enough for racers, but when you talk about trying to get comfortable and getting the experience, would it have made sense, or why is it so important to be here this weekend as opposed to maybe later at the month in Martinsville, another short track race, as opposed to going through this quick process you're going through?
That's a great question. There is absolutely no reason. However, when I talked to other drivers and teams in NASCAR and people that were helping me, they said that this is the best track for me to learn at, and going to somewhere like Martinsville would be terrifying. So I don't know whether that's true or not, but I take their advice, right? I don't know what I don't know, and so if somebody says that to me, then I do what I'm told.
And also, I guess, have you met BJ and Jessica, or what do you think of, especially BJ? I know he's quite a personality.
Dude. Yeah, they're both awesome people. I mean, they hustle, and you have to respect their love for the sport, and they want it so badly, and they do everything they can to be here, and I think that kind of embodies how I feel about it sometimes too. You don't always have the money or the equipment, but you love racing, and so you do what you can, and you try and build on that and improve. I think he's the same.
Come to Crash next.
Crasher with Speed Freaks. Going off a little bit of what Dustin said, was there any inclination of this being Women's History Month and that we've got to get this going in March?
No. Do you know what? I'm going to admit this now. And I probably shouldn't use these words, but I'm going to anyway. I said, I'm going to fly under the radar for my first cup race, right? Nobody's going to notice. We'll just be in the back. We'll chill. We'll get NASCAR permission. And then somebody was like, it's International Women's Day on Saturday. And I thought, oh, shit. There's no way. There's no way I'm flying under the radar. So, no, we did not take that into consideration. And here I am in front of you guys.
And then secondly, I'm not sure who all is fully aware, but when you were out of money in Europe and you just were insistent on staying at that Cosworth office to meet Kevin Kalkoven, and he didn't want to meet you, he sent his daughter out. Did you have a backup plan if you were not able to get that meeting to happen, and now look at where you are from there?
Yeah, no, I didn't. I think when you want something badly enough, you find a way to make it happen. And so I think I just kind of clawed and tried and fought and did everything I could to get as many opportunities as I could. And I've honestly driven some really bad cars that I probably shouldn't have driven. I nicknamed one the car of almost certain death. But you have to do what you have to do to get here. My father's not wealthy, but he wishes he was. But we didn't have millions of dollars to spend on the best teams and the best equipment and like working our way through the ranks to showcase my talent. So I had to do a bit of everything, and sometimes it worked out and sometimes it didn't. And I never had a backup plan. I always just had to go from opportunity to opportunity and make the most of it. And my whole career, my whole life has kind of been that roller coaster. But you know what? I honestly wouldn't have it any other way, because I think when it's hard, you appreciate it so much more. And if you've really had to dig in and work for it, then it means so much to you. And I've had a hell of a life, and I'm a hell of a career so far, and I'm sat here ready to go run a cup race, and I'm such a dork. I took a picture of the garage with my name on it, right? Because it's so cool. So, yeah, I'm grateful for the journey that I've had, and I wake up every morning realizing how lucky I am, honestly.
We'll close out with Cooper up front, and then one more quick one from Holly.
Hi, Catherine. Cooper Burns, Cronkite News. You kind of mentioned at the beginning this is such a unique racetrack. What makes it unique for someone who's never run here or never really run a Gen 7 car as well?
I think you need to ask me that after I run on the track, because I don't know, but I can tell you from the sim. It's very different, like one end to the other, obviously. And so I've got a couple of good friends in NASCAR, luckily. So I've been friends with AJ Allmendinger for like 20 years because we ran Champ Car together back in the day. And I've got a very good friend, Andy Lally, who lives just down the road from me. So I've made both of them like try and teach me everything they know in the space of 20 minutes and sit and watch video and, watch in-car stuff and old races. And they both say how awesome this track is and how the different grooves kind of develop over the race. And Andy was also talking about the black stuff they put down around the outside that they're not going to do this time, or I'm not sure. But there's the dog leg that you can cut as well, and all the things. And it's in a really unique place, and it's a really cool setting. And the racing's always so good here. And it's a place where I can move out of the way, right, if I need to. So I think that's important. It's wide. And, yeah.
Close out with Holly.
Hopefully sunny.
Exactly. One last thing, and you kind of alluded to this actually. Have you, or do you know many of the other competitors? Obviously, you mentioned AJ and Andy, but do you know? Okay.
No.
So there hasn't been a ton of conversation, I guess, with anyone else. But do you feel like maybe there's someone that you might seek out just to, I don't know, discuss things a little?
It might not seem like it, but I am kind of shy. Like, I'm not the kind of person who'll just go up and say, hey, whoever you are, I'm Katherine. Hey, Joey Logano, I'm Katherine. It's like my first day at school, you know? It's like if you I think I just said this, it's like if you're starting a new job, but it's doing the job that you've been doing for a long time, but it's in a new environment. And so you have to figure out who your coworkers are and make friends. And you have to figure out where the bathrooms are, like where's credentials, I have no idea where it is coming in here. So it's all like the auxiliary stuff that I don't know that I don't know. And I'm hoping, everybody's been so friendly, so nice. Like, it's been such a really cool, supportive paddock, honestly. Like I said, so many people have been helping me this week. It's made my heart very happy. But I'm sure that I'll meet the other drivers, and hopefully they are receptive to me. I'm just not sure what to expect, so there's a certain level of apprehension that goes with that, I guess.